let's learn something really quick.
If you got the time, absolutely. And you got the discipline, there's no question about it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great practice to put into your everyday life, you guys.
You generally regret the things you don't do, not the things you did do. Let me say it that way.
Mic drop. This was just awesome. I love meeting my guests in person, and it's a whole nother animal, and the energy is just electric. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. What is good, everyone? Happy New Year. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, and I'm back with Label Free Podcast. Today, I have a really incredible guest to share with you. She's a former molecular diagnostic lab manager, and she's now the founder of Wandering Roots. Please welcome Anna Vanagtmael. Say it right?
Yep, good enough. Yep.
They're going to know when if they watch this. You guys, if you watch this, you look at her name, you're going to understand why I had to make sure that I said it correctly. Anna, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. I'm so excited to have you to start off the new year with a guest like you that's kind of gone through, as a lot of my incredible guests, they go through something that changes the trajectory of their life. So I want to hear let's share with the audience what took you from being a molecular diagnostics lab manager to starting Wandering Roots.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here. And I will give you the Cliffs Notes. I had a 13-year career in molecular diagnostics. In the last 7, I built a lab. I was given the opportunity to be an entrepreneur with no financial risk, which planted a seed that I had never had before. I was just going through the motions, kind of on the hamster wheel of, climbing the ladder, going to college, getting a job, and getting promoted. And at the same time, I was in 2 car accidents as a kid, and I had to have neck surgery. And it was the first pause in my life. I was 28, and I was in a neck brace for 4 months. I couldn't do anything, couldn't drive. It was very humbling. And I had to take time off work, and I just started building this lab, like hiring staff, building it out, buying all of the equipment and things. And I was like, man, I have way more success than I ever thought I would, but I am wildly unhappy, just like miserable. And I mostly was just bored. And I had a lot of shame of not being more grateful for that, and feeling like if I did make a change, I would be letting, my husband down. We had attained some financial freedom that we both were enjoying. And I had just hired a lot of these people that I cared about, and I felt like a terrible leader. So anyways, it honestly took a couple years. I was just more in the headspace of like recovering from a major surgery like that. And I found yoga because I don't want to be a pain clinic patient for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And but I also, as most 20 somethings, I just never thought about my own mortality. And I thought, man, if I only get one life, I want to be jazzed about it. And if I was more passionate about my career, imagine the success I might attain as well, and something I was truly aligned with. So that is, it was ugly. It was messy. I really just started trying things that terrified me, and it sort of kept nudging me on the path to host retreats, which was just wildly different from anything I had ever done in my entire life.
Well, yeah. I mean, going from a molecular diagnostics lab manager to being more of this free life, but I kind of want to highlight something you said. Something that a lot of my guests have in common is that most of them have all been very wildly successful and also very unhappy at the same time. And I feel like there's something to be said about that. Like, we all want to attain the success, but at what cost if we're not really truly living in our life's purpose, right? And so
Right.
I always think it's interesting that, on the outside, people have this idea or this label like, oh, you have it all. You've got all this success, like you've made it, right? But they don't really understand like maybe what's going on behind the surface of what someone like you was dealing with and being unhappy. And I don't think that there is anything worth our happiness, right? That's like
No,
there's no price tag that you can put on being happy and being fulfilled.
totally. And I actually think success for me looks like when my work complements my life.
Mm,
I get to enjoy it, and it sustains the type of things that bring me joy, and enough free time and downtime where I'm not hunched over dying at my desk to actually enjoy it. And I think that is real success.
absolutely. 1000%. And so now how did you stumble in or begin wandering roots? So did you start going on retreats yourself or like
No.
what does that look like?
So, I actually, because I had been practicing yoga for a while, I decided to take yoga teacher training, and it was the first time I had been in a space with 11 strangers that were just there, to, like being super vulnerable and also being very, very open-minded and supportive and loving. And I was like, I wonder if I could create an environment with this vibe of like people loving and supporting each other for who they are, not who they're trying to be. And I had been traveling quite a bit for work and for pleasure. And so I thought I could combine those two things, like my new yoga certification, with sort of a driving force of pushing women to think about what they want. Like, what do
Yeah.
they actually want? And how can they create more of a life that they love? And that was it. I just wanted to create that same vibe. And I thought I had enough know-how from starting the lab, and I also helped my husband start his own landscape business the year before I started Wandering Roots. So I sort of learned more about social media and websites and bookkeeping and all these
All the
hats that
stuff.
entrepreneurs live or wear. And yeah, so kind of a combination of those three things.
Was it hard to get it off the ground? I mean, because
Yes.
establishing a brand, especially something like that, a retreat, it's like takes a lot of commitment or buy-in from your ideal client or avatar, what
Yes.
have you. Um, so I can't, I mean, I know what it's like to start businesses. It's not easy. It
Yeah.
takes a while to
No,
get it
and
going.
starting an audience from scratch took time. I didn't even have a social media account,
Oh,
much less I had to create a personal one to create a
yeah.
business one. And yeah, it's humbling for sure, and it did take a while, but I started teaching locally and tried to just make connections that way. But I also found I always joke with my co-host that you have to convince your guests that you're not a serial killer, because normally the first time you meet them, you're spending the night together. So
Yeah.
there's this extra layer to the sale.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
good
you
stuff.
start teaching yoga locally.
Yes, and then I also it was 2018 when I founded the company, and blogs were sort of like still a thing. They were sort
Sure.
of on their way out, but now I started blogging a lot and just sharing how hard it was to reinvent myself, and that connected me to other people. So
Let's talk about that really quick before we start getting more into what Wandering Roots does. Being molecular diagnostics lab manager, going into like this, being very like just like living this Zen life. Like I almost feel, and I think I said this on our intro call, like you like left brain moving over to right brain. And that
yes,
and
yes.
that transition, there had to be a lot of like resistance for yourself
Oof.
to like learn how to flow into that new life.
Yeah, I was like, I wrote a lot of peer-reviewed journal published articles that were just for the lab that were just facts. And it
Yeah,
was like this unlearning of that. Like, here's the data, here are the facts, of to write something creative, to even identify as being
yeah.
creative was so far out of my identity and what I thought of myself. And so it was a lot of unlearning to learn new skills. It was like a two-part process for most things.
But look at how you smile about it when you talk about it. So like, the journey it's all about the journey, not the destination, right? And like I think that we forget about just to embrace that journey, just to embrace that walk, that
Totally.
evolution, because
Yeah.
it's like we want to like force things like I want to be here right now, I want to be comfortable with this, but it's like it's that evolution that we have to kind of like embrace and appreciate, because if we don't remember where we came from, we're not going to appreciate where we're going.
100%. And I really believe that all of those really hard lessons are the biggest teachers and the things that really create the next version of you to step into. It creates more confidence, resilience. And I always say, like, if you could see just a tiny blip of the beautiful thing on the other side of the hard thing, it would make you keep going.
Yeah,
And I think the more you throw yourself sort of, I don't know if you want to refer to it as the fire or just the hard work, the more you know, like, okay, I just gotta have a little grit and keep going and things usually work out how they're supposed to. So
absolutely. Yeah, totally. I have a little bit, I'm a very analytical person. And so after some of the things that I've been through, and I'm not going to go into it, that I've just like learned the last 9 years, I've just kind of wanted to get into more of a flow in life, right? And not resist so much. And every once in a while, I like that resistance, that analytical part of me will pop up and like just want to analyze the crap out of everything and just
yeah.
make me resist just the journey, right? And so I have to remind myself, I don't know about you, but I have to remind myself to just like breathe and just let it flow.
Yeah, I'm very analytical. I very much identify as that. I love a good spreadsheet. And that's why I'm really good at bookkeeping. But I have to trust the process. I have to like take a
Yeah.
deep breath, like you said, and remind yourself to trust the process and yeah, try to just get out of your own way, right?
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't happen overnight. And sometimes you got to remind
No.
yourself. So let's talk about Wandering Roots and what that's all about and what you aim to do or your mission to help women on these retreats.
So I first started hosting like I said in 2018, and I mostly did. I'm in Michigan, and I mostly did just northern Michigan, somewhere on the lake shore, somewhere beautiful. Few-hour drive to sort of take some of the logistics and the travel inconveniences out of the equation when I was getting started, and just would do a Thursday to a Sunday, a 3 night. If you're ever doing a retreat, I recommend never doing less than three because if you show up on a Friday and you leave on a Sunday, you really only get one day with your guests, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of work for not a
Yeah.
lot of time. But anyway, so I did that, and then I now mostly do international 7 day, and we've done 22. I
Wow.
host with my best friend who's a chef. She makes incredible food. She makes food local to the area and then accommodates everybody's allergies and restrictions with the most ease of anyone I've ever seen in a kitchen so that not everybody has to eat the same.
Yeah.
And then my other girlfriend is a portrait photographer, and we have initially started just so people could truly check out and leave their phones at home. We were just going to have her take your picture taken
Yeah.
by a professional and you get all the beautiful landscape photos and things. But now we also haul out these flying dresses. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but these
Yes.
trains are
Yes.
insane. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like this, we always stay in really beautiful locations and we spend an afternoon kind of in the golden hour light. And it takes more than one person to hold these things, these trains up. And if you have a big wind, it can almost turn into a parachute. But it's just so much fun. It's such a beautiful bonding experience for everybody to like encourage each other to try something maybe scary. If it is scary, don't have to do it. We always encourage you to choose your own adventure. But it's just, there's lots of giggles, there's lots
Yeah.
of laughs and lots of bonding. And then in 2019, at the end of 2019, I quit my full-time gig. I side hustled Wandering Roots for 2 years. And then COVID happened and I had to cancel all of my
Oh,
events. So
oh my
right
goodness.
before that, it's a challenging time. Right
Yeah.
before that, everybody was not everybody, but I got a lot of inquiries if I would help other people plan theirs. And I said, no. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
just still figuring it out. And then I was like, okay, well, the universe just gave me this like year of
Yeah.
space, and
Yeah.
so I created a digital course for people who want to DIY it. And then I also do one-to-one planning service. And that's actually in the last this 2024 and going forward is where I spend most of my time is planning other entrepreneurs retreats for them so that they can just show up, share the content they're passionate about and have fun.
And why would you, or who, let's say who, would you recommend to plan these retreats for?
Literally anybody. I have hosted so many unique or help plan. I just had a lady that's an actress,
Okay.
a lady that's a food photographer. So she was teaching people how to um, book bigger gigs for like large magazines and things, a psychic medium,
Really?
a lot
Okay.
of coaches that have sort of like group virtual programs, and then they want to do like the culmination like in person. I had a food coach,
Hmm.
like a dietitian. Her whole retreat was based around the menu. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many things you can do.
You just have to be creative with it.
Yeah. I think that anybody that just has like some content that they're super passionate about and they just need that bigger platform, that larger offering for their best clients, those are the people that they already know what they want to share. They just need
Yeah.
to figure out where
Like
and how.
a community too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
A lot of these ladies like um have had a lot of these clients for years and years and they've never met in person and there's some magic to that. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And what typically does the people that go on the retreat, what do they get out of it at the end? Aside from learning like the cooking
Oof.
skills or the photography
Yeah,
skills, I mean, is
yeah.
there just in case someone's like, oh, okay, well, this is awesome. I'm curious. I might want to do this for my
Yeah.
community. Like, what would you suggest, or what would you say with something that they would get out of it, their clients would get out of it at the end?
So, I would say for like coaches and stuff, it would be like this huge self-development type
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
Mine are adventure, and everybody kind of shows up with just like a tug of wanting a little bit more out of life. I had one lady quit her job before the retreat was done, just in the middle of the week. We get
Wow.
some women that are either empty nesters, newly divorced, and just finally want to do something for themselves. So I would say that most of my clientele are usually going through some like transition
Yeah.
phase.
It sounds like it's very empowering. And you're
Yeah, it's like the
that.
it's like the great pause, right? You get
Yeah.
to get away from all your roles, responsibilities, the decision fatigue, the hats you wear, and just the space to like think about what you want.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. Amazing. So you still host your own retreats
yeah,
and you go ahead.
mhm. I'm hosting in Iceland and the Dolomites this year.
Oh, wow. That's
Hmm.
cool. My goodness.
Both beautiful places.
And then, yeah. And then you also help other people host their own retreats. So,
Correct.
and then what does that look like for them if they want to talk to you, like reach out to you? Do you like have like an intro call, kind of like what I do, or
Yep.
what does that look like?
Yep. We do a 30-minute Zoom,
Okay.
unless you prefer phone, but Zoom's usually easier. And I just want you to like sort of like download everything that you've been percolating in your mind and see like what you think you need the most help with, and then put together a proposal for you and send it your way to see if you'll know honestly
Yeah.
within 10 minutes if you want to work with me or not. You like your gut, you always
Yeah.
know. If it's not a good fit, I've had a couple um, people that do more of the planning on logistics, but only need help with a certain thing. It just doesn't usually make sense, and I'll tell you that. I'll
Yeah.
be completely honest. So.
And then how long does it take from inception to finish to launch a retreat and create it?
So I always say it usually takes me 4 to 8 weeks to put.
Oh,
I pick three venues that are within the vibe and like whatever, and then we go over a spreadsheet. That's each one has their own tab, and it just say this is what I would recommend you charge, and this is what you can anticipate to make. Some people have an exact idea of what they want that to be, and some people don't.
yeah.
And then we after that, I always recommend you give yourself 6 to 9 months to like launch it to your audience and then give your
Six to
audience
nine
enough
months.
time
Yeah.
to like plan and save.
Yeah.
They like a lot of people, if you are going to be gone for 7 days, need a little like at least 3 months
Oh, yeah.
to figure out childcare and time off. So
Very cool. I love it. Where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more about working with you, Anna?
Yes, so my website is yourwanderingroots.com. If you want to go on a retreat with us, you can go to retreatsthatdon'tsuck.com. We're pretty sarcastic and funny. And then if you just want to book a consult, moneymakingretreats.com.
Excellent. You guys, I'm going to put all those links in the show notes. There will also be the links here on the screen if you're watching. So if you're interested in connecting with Anna, don't hesitate to click those links and schedule a call with her. Or if you want to go on one of her retreats, check them out. Anna, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
Keep going. I believe in you. I really think it's just the difference between the people that do and that don't. You just try, you get up, you keep going. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you married being analytical and creative together. Like you really kind of meshed that well together for yourself and created a beautiful life.
yeah.
I love it. It's just amazing. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for being our guest today. And I can't wait to watch more of your amazing retreats and you help change lives.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having me.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.